Hey everyone, Connie here, and yeah, you read the title of this video right. Video is why I will not play Cyberpunk 2077. And this is beyond just the obvious reasons of I don't have a system that can play it. I mean, because that's obvious. There's a lot of games that I can't play because of that. Um, but it's more along the lines of why I never would, even if I had a system that could. Um, so Cyberpunk 2077 is kind of like you could call the newest shit that's out, um, the newest hot shit. It's the big game right now. Everyone's talking about it. It's finally out after having been pushed back time and time and time again, and it's it's the really big, really popular game right now. So why would I never play it? Even if I had a system that could, whatever system that may be, why would I still never play it? Well, it's if you've been on social media and have not heard about all the shit that CD Projekt Red has done and said, then you just haven't been paying attention, I feel. Or just don't, I guess, don't follow those kind of people on Twitter. Not necessarily the company, but people who talk about anything related to them. Because if you follow like any kind of gaming news or anything, or any kind of like uh, people who talk about all these games and companies coming out and everything, you'll have probably heard. But just in case, CD Projekt Red has been known for some really controversial statements, especially in regards to trans people and queer people. On top of that, they've even stated in the past that basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, they feel that diversity in game development is only okay if it doesn't get in the way of the development of the game, which is an extremely problematic stance to take on anything. Basically, saying that we'll only accept diversity in game development, meaning like the people who are working on the games and stuff like that, if it wouldn't interfere with us making the game in any way, which in every logical way it wouldn't. Like there's no logical way to say that diversity in the game development staff or the development of the game itself would in any way, any shape or form interfere with the development of the game. Like that doesn't even make sense. On top of this shit, let's talk about specifically this game. Cyberpunk 2077, they made a huge deal out of the fact that your gender of your character would not be tied to your character's genitals and stuff, and that the character creation tool would be inclusive towards trans people. Here's the problem. The character creator, like what that said there, what they said about that, about the gender not being tied to genitals, is the only thing they got right. The character creator is extremely minuscule. Like wrestling game character creators, even from like over a decade ago, have more options. Saints Row 2 has a better character creator, and that came out in 2008. And on top of that, the inclusivity towards trans people that they were touting doesn't include non binary people. You can only play as a male or female character. There's no non binary representation at all. If you're a non binary person playing and you wanted some kind of representation, wanted to see yourself through the character, you're out of luck. On top of that, the representation, the trans representation, is only literally skin deep. It is only the genitals. If you want to play as a female character, you have to have a typically female voice. If you want to play as a male character, you have to have a typically male voice, feminine, masculine. You cannot play as a female character and have a more masculine voice because for some reason you're not a girl if you have a deeper voice in their eyes. But it's okay because you have genitals. Do you see the issue here? This is blatant fetishizing of people's bodies, of trans people's bodies. It's like, oh, we're going to give you the ability to have your choice of genitals. That's trans representation, right? That's basically what they're saying. They have no idea what they're talking about. They give one little thing and try to act like it's this big fucking deal. Again, Saints Row 2, 2008, did a much better job at this. Just go look it up. Character creation in Saints Row 2 is so much more progressive than this, and that came out over a decade ago, which is really sad. Really sad. On top of it, there's the entire controversy that had been going on well before the game came out because of the posters in the game. There's these posters in the game that show what is clearly representing a trans woman. And with the text and everything on the posters, you can clearly see, without question, that it's boiling down trans women and basically referring to them in a very negative light. Basically seeing them as tools and as freaks and as something weird and different to look at. And on top of it, there's I don't know if it was the exact same character, but there's a character who again was supposed to be seen as trans who was officially represented by the company in an official cosplay manner by a cis person, which you could say yeah, cosplayers can cosplay anyone, and I stand by that. I will always stand by that. But when this is an official press thing and you're trying to represent a trans character in any way for an official press thing by the company and all, you could at least get a trans cosplayer. We do exist, believe it or not. It just seems like that was unnecessary, honestly. But honestly, that's not the biggest issue they've had. Let's be honest. Um, the game had so much shit being talked about before it even came out with all of this. And one of the big arguments I've seen, especially since the game came out, people are saying, "Oh, the game. That's the point. The game attacks everyone. It goes after everyone. It's it's supposed to be seen as this shitty dystopian world. That's literally the point. It's cyberpunk. Don't you know the genre?" I've literally heard people say shit like that, and it's like, oh my god, you completely missed the point here. Yeah, dystopian cyberpunk and everything. I get that. It's gonna be a shitty world. Sure, whatever. But that doesn't mean you have to take a group of people that is so heavily marginalized, so heavily discriminated against, and treated like shit, especially in media. A group of people who are so often fetishized and boiled down to harmful negative stereotypes so constantly in media. That does not mean you have to take them and just do the same because oh, it's a shitty world where corporations are just shitty about this towards everyone. That's not an excuse. That's not an excuse. That's Just stupid. That is a stupid argument. And it is actually an excuse because that's all it is. It's an excuse to come across as saying, like, oh, we're this game is making fun of everyone, so that's okay. It's like, no, that doesn't work like that. Just because it makes fun of everyone doesn't mean that it's okay to be this blatantly transphobic. That does not mean it's okay to take an already hurt, marginalized group, especially during this year, and just not only continue to do the same to them, but in a game that has been touting that it was going to be a lot more progressive and have representation for trans people. In a game like that, you're going to make it this bad? It's like, no, that's not okay. And I think people are just white knighting this game because it's the new hot shit. Because it's the big game that's out right now, people are just going to white knight it and not accept any criticism. And there's even people in the queer community who will do so, who will just accept all of this, who will make all of these excuses just because it's the new hot game. And here's the thing, if you want to play it, I can't stop you. You have that right. But you also know how I feel about that. And if you're going to do that, just like keep that away from me. Just don't talk about that on the Discord, on the comments here, anywhere like that. Just I don't want to see that shit. You're allowed to play it. I can't stop you, and I won't even try. But I will state my thoughts on it. And I will fight and argue against this game. And this is why I would never even play it, even if I did have a console that could. Because in my eyes, the game is too harmful towards trans people. And it's not even really debatable to me. It's just that unbelievably harmful. It uses blatant transphobia from a company known for their transphobia, a company just known for their refusal to like reliably be diverse and makes excuses for why they shouldn't. A company that has been steeped in controversy so many times. I can't I can't reconcile just the idea of supporting this game. The only thing I could reconcile doing is watching a let's play because at that point it's like you're not actually supporting the game in any way. The people who play it, or the people who made it rather, I don't know why I said play it. The people who made it won't get a penny from you watching a let's play. The only people who would get money from that is the let's player from their monetization and stuff. So at that point, it's the only way to really take in the game without supporting the company who made this steaming pile of transphobic shit. And the thing is, even outside of this, it's like I haven't really been super interested in this game anyway. Like, even if it weren't for this stuff, it's like I'm not a huge sci fi fan as much as other people. I only like certain sci fi things. I don't even like everything in Star Wars. I'm not a huge sci-fi fan. I'm not a huge fan of Cyberpunk. It doesn't really appeal to me that much. And nothing about this game's advertising has really gotten me interested or invested in checking it out. Yeah, not even Keanu Reeves being in it. Because, as I've stated in the past before, I'm not the biggest fan of Keanu Reeves. And yes, this still counts as acting. While he does have a couple roles that maybe are better than others, I still don't think he's a good actor. And it just, even though he's a great person and I like him as a person, it's just like, that's not enough to make me want to see this. That's not any kind of reason to make me want to watch a Let's Play this game. And again, really, there is no real thing that makes me interested. Nothing about the little bit I've heard of what the story might be, nothing about the characters, nothing about anything. So it's like, at this point, I'll probably never even watch Let's Play just because of lack of interest in the first place. Even though pretty much every Let's Player I watch is playing this game right now. And only a couple have been playing Age of Calamity, which I'm insanely more interested in. Like some people, the funniest part, and I'm going to end with this. Some people I've heard, even trans people, have actually said, have had the gall to say that it's better than if they hadn't even tried at all, which is pure unadulterated bullshit. It would have been so much better if they didn't try at all with their representation. Because if they didn't try at all, it would just be like another game. Whether good or bad, it would just be another game. But the fact that they actively tried to market this as being progressive and representation for trans people, the fact that they actively tried to make this seem like a big deal, like a good thing, and it came out so bad, so horribly transphobic, that makes it worse. Because if they didn't try it all, then it'd just be another game, and we could move on, and would be disappointed maybe, but that's about it. With this, it's more than just that because it's like they actively marketed this as being something it blatantly is. Not only blatantly isn't, but they marketed it as something good for the trans community when it's actually very, very bad for them, for us. And it's like, that's unacceptable. It's much worse to lie, openly lie that something is going to help give representation to a marginalized group and then come up with something that is actually against like the marginalized group that is actively worse in every way than if they hadn't even tried it all. That is one of the worst takes you can have in regards to this. And it pisses me off whenever I see somebody say it. Like, ugh. And the thing you have to realize is it's not just a matter of taste here. It's a matter of many trans people, myself included, having been triggered by this, like legitimately so, having our dysphoria triggered by this, which is horribly bad as it is, etc., etc., etc. We are facing legitimate pains from how we're misrepresented in this game. And there's so many people who are basically using the complete fallacial fallacy. They're using the fallacy of if it doesn't affect me, it's not a big deal. Because I'm personally not triggered. because I'm personally not offended by it, then it's not a big deal. And so many people are using that. You have no fucking idea. So many fucking people are using that fallacy. I don't remember what the fallacy's exact name is, but they're using it so heavily too. They're basically saying like, "Oh, I'm not offended by it." And some people are even saying like, "Oh, I'm offended by other games that people tout as this great representation. Should that mean those games are bad?" And it's like, "Oh my god, you're missing the point and you're just being horrible, making these entirely you're being so illogical with this." And you're just trying to make these points that just don't hold up. Again, this argument hasn't come out of nowhere. This has been this these complaints have been going on pretty much since this game had started showing any of this stuff for with the posters in game and stuff, and the started trying to advertise itself and market itself as being trans friendly and stuff. All this has been going on. This is not a new thing. But yeah, yeah. The point is that's why I would never even consider buying it, even if I could, and why I probably won't watch a let's play of it. But maybe I'll check it out at least just out of like morbid curiosity, just to see exactly how bad it is personally. Because while I've only seen like maybe a couple clips of it, I'm going based off of people who have played it. I'm going based off of people who have seen all of the stuff with the character creator and the posters and stuff. And the worst part about it too, just to truly end on this time, is that despite all this stuff, despite the ability to make your genitals whatever you want with your character creator, despite all of that, there is no notable trans character in the game outside of maybe your player character. The game has no actual trans character, and any queer characters at all, it's very minimal in and of itself. They do the bare minimum possible to try and claim representation, and it fails hardcore. It is so bad, and it's just like it's just terrible. Again, if they hadn't tried, if they hadn't marketed themselves as being like this super progressive game, then it wouldn't have been a big deal. A lot of games don't have trans characters, but it's because of the way they marketed the game. It's because of the blatant lies that this is as big of a deal as it is. So, yeah, you could tell me whatever you think about this in the comments below if you wish. I just kind of wanted to record this to kind of let this all out, if nothing else, just to kind of rant for a bit because I kind of needed it to get it out. I've been just this has been bothering the shit out of me, honestly. My opinion is not going to change. This game is heavily offensive to me. It is extremely, extremely bad in my eyes, and that's not going to change. But I would, I guess, like to hear your thoughts on it. Maybe your experiences through playing. But like, just don't try to debate on this with me because I probably won't even answer. If I'm being honest, I don't want to continue this entire thing, this debate on whether or not my experiences as a trans person are basically valid or not. So, if you want to play it, you have every right. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to tell you you can't. It is completely your right to do so. I'm just telling you my views on it. So, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Connie. I'm signing off. See y'all next time.